Okay, so I gotta be honest, I went into this expecting the $5 setting spray to just get destroyed. Like I figured we'd all have a laugh and move on with our lives. But that's not even close to what happened. And now I genuinely feel a little weird about the 30-something dollars I spent on my last setting spray. No cap. Here's the actual problem though. Setting sprays are one of those products where the marketing does all the heavy lifting, 16-hour wear, 12-hour wear, locks your look in place, and half the time you genuinely cannot tell if it's the formula working or just your skin having a good day. So a real side-by-side is the only honest way to know. So I did exactly that. I grabbed the cheapest setting spray I could find and I put it up against three of the biggest names in the entire setting spray game: Urban Decay, Charlotte Tilbury, and Milk Makeup. Real prices, real wear tests. And honestly, the results kind of wrecked how I think about this whole category. So let's get into it. The contender. All right, so before we get into the actual matchups, let's talk about who's stepping up here. It's Wet n Wild's Photo Focus Setting Spray, and it rings up at around $5, sometimes even less depending on where you're grabbing it. Wet n Wild's whole thing with the Photo Focus line has always been built around one specific idea: making products that hold up under harsh lighting and camera flash without that weird ghosting or flashback effect. And the setting spray followed the exact same logic: a lightweight, non-sticky mist that's supposed to lock everything in without adding extra shine or that stiff, plasticky feeling some sprays leave behind. Here's the thing that makes this brand kind of a sleeper pick too. Wet n Wild's been doing this since 1979. They're owned by Markwins, which is actually the largest independent cosmetics company in the entire country. And they've stayed cruelty-free through PETA's program this whole time, which a lot of much pricier brands still can't say for themselves. Okay, so that's our underdog, $5, cruelty-free, built for photo-ready wear. Now let's see if it can actually hang with the big names. Round one, Wet n Wild versus Urban Decay All-Nighter. All right, round one. And honestly, this is the fight everybody's here for. Urban Decay's All-Nighter setting spray is basically the gold standard people compare every other setting spray against. It's been around since 2007, and it runs around $33, sometimes closer to $36 depending on the size you grab. The whole pitch behind All-Nighter is that it's engineered specifically for long days, 16 hours of wear without your makeup breaking down. And for a long time, it genuinely earned that reputation. It was one of the first setting sprays to actually feel different from just spraying water on your face. Here's the ownership piece though. Urban Decay is owned by L'Oreal, the same massive company that also owns NYX and Maybelline. So when you're paying that $33, you're tapping into the same giant research budget that funds a lot of L'Oreal's other formulas, just wrapped in edgier, more rebellious packaging that Urban Decay's built its whole identity around since the 90s. In the actual wear test, over a full 12-hour day, both sprays held up shockingly close. The Wet n Wild version did start showing a touch more shine around the T-zone by hour 10, but the actual makeup itself, foundation, concealer, all of it, stayed put on both faces almost identically, which is wild for a $28 price gap. Round one goes to Urban Decay, but barely, and honestly, for $5, that's basically a win in disguise. Let's move to round two. Round two, Wet n Wild versus Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Okay, round two, and we're stepping it up even more here. Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray usually runs around $40, and it's marketed with this whole your skin but blurred to perfection angle, giving that soft focus, filtered look straight out of the bottle. Charlotte Tilbury, if you've watched this channel before, is owned by Puig, the Spanish luxury conglomerate that also owns fragrance houses like Rabanne and Jean Paul Gaultier, so a serious chunk of that $40 price tag is going toward global luxury brand positioning, not just what's inside the can. The formula itself uses this fine, almost powder-like mist meant to blur pores and fine lines instantly. And in fairness, it does deliver a genuinely soft, filtered finish the second it hits your skin. That part's real. No exaggeration there. But here's the thing. When it came to actual longevity, keeping makeup from sliding or fading throughout the day, testers genuinely struggled to tell which face was wearing the $40 spray and which one had the $5 Wet n Wild on it. The blur effect faded on both formulas at almost the same rate by the afternoon. Round 2, and this one's basically a tie. Charlotte Tilbury wins on that instant soft focus finish, but for straight up staying power, the $5 spray held its ground the entire day. Real quick, before we get to round 3, if you're new here, this is literally what we do on this channel every single day, breaking down whether the expensive stuff actually earns its price tag, receipts, and all. So if that's your vibe, go ahead and subscribe. No biggie, just means you catch the next one. Okay, let's finish this out. Round 3, Wet n Wild versus Milk Makeup, Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray. All right, final round, and this one's the current viral darling of the setting spray world. Milk Makeup's Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray runs around $34, and it built its entire reputation on that glassy, dewy, skin-first finish packed with hyaluronic acid and niacinamide, ingredients that sound more like a skincare serum than a setting spray. Milk Makeup markets this one as basically a 4-in-1 product. You can use it before makeup to prep skin in between layers to help everything blend, and after as your final set, and it's genuinely picked up a huge, loyal following, especially among people chasing that whole glass skin trend that's been everywhere the last couple years. Here's where the comparison gets interesting though. Milk's formula is alcohol-free and built around hydration first, wear time second, so it's honestly playing a slightly different game than a straight-up long-wear spray like All Nighter. It's less about locking your face in place for 16 hours and more about keeping skin looking fresh and glowy throughout the day. When it came down to actual makeup longevity though, the plain, straightforward Wet n Wild formula actually held foundation and concealer in place slightly better over a full day. Milk's dewy finish looked gorgeous for the first several hours. But by evening, there was a bit more fading around high movement areas like the nose and chin compared to the drugstore spray. Round 3 goes to Wet n Wild, genuinely, and that's honestly the biggest upset of the whole video, a $5 spray outlasting a $34 viral favorite. All right, so let's run the whole thing back. Round 1, Urban Decay's All Nighter edged out Wet n Wild, but only barely, for $28 more. Round 2, Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless basically tied with the $5 spray on actual wear time, only really winning on that instant blur effect. And round 3, Wet n Wild actually beat Milk Makeup's Hydro Grip outright on straight up longevity. Here's my honest takeaway from all this, y'all. Expensive setting sprays aren't lying to you exactly. Some of them genuinely deliver a specific finish, that blur, that dewy glass skin glow, things a basic formula just isn't designed to do. But if what you actually care about is your makeup staying put through a long day, a $5 drugstore spray held its own against 3 of the biggest names in the entire category and honestly beat one of them outright. Tell me in the comments which setting spray are you currently using, and be honest, do you think it's actually earning its price tag, or is it mostly the packaging and the brand name doing the convincing? Because I read every single comment down there. If this saved you some cash, go ahead and subscribe, because tomorrow we're doing the exact same blind test format, but with primers, and one of the results genuinely shocked me even more than this one did. Thanks for watching DupeAudit. Catch y'all in the next video.